Imagine looking up to the sky, not to see birds or clouds, but entire cities, perfectly formed and shimmering, suspended hundreds of feet above the ground. For centuries, across disparate cultures and continents, people have reported witnessing these impossible aerial metropolises. But what if these weren't mere optical illusions or mass hallucinations? What if these floating cities are something far more profound, something that utterly defies our understanding of reality and physics? Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the world above us, because the truth behind these ethereal phenomena is stranger than any fiction. To unravel this bizarre tapestry, we first need to understand the accepted scientific explanations. The most common term you'll encounter is Fata Morgana. This is an elaborate form of mirage, an optical phenomenon caused when light rays are bent by layers of air at different temperatures in a steep thermal inversion. Essentially, a cold, dense layer of air sits beneath a warmer layer, acting like a lens. This phenomenon can distort distant objects, ships on the horizon, mountains, or even small islands, making them appear higher, dramatically altered, or even inverted. It's why you might sometimes see a lake on a hot road that vanishes as you approach it. The Fata Morgana takes this to an extreme, creating highly detailed, often majestic images that can appear incredibly real, momentarily suspending reality for those who witness them. Sailors in the Arctic have long reported seeing ghost ships or entire ice cities due to this effect, leading to tales of phantom vessels and enchanted lands. And in a globalized, interconnected world, we're quick to attribute any unusual aerial sighting to this well-understood, albeit complex, atmospheric trickery. But are all floating cities simply high-definition mirages? The question itself hints at a deeper, more unsettling possibility that conventional science struggles to acknowledge, let alone explain. Yet the narrative of simple mirages begins to fray when we examine the specifics of modern sightings. Take, for instance, the infamous Shenzhen incident of 2011. Thousands of bewildered residents in the bustling Chinese city looked skyward and saw with their own eyes a breathtaking, almost hyper-real city floating amongst the clouds. Skyscrapers pierced the sky, intricate streets seemed to weave between buildings, all bathed in an ethereal light. The initial explanation, predictably, was a Fata Morgana, but witnesses described the cityscape with an almost impossible level of detail. They spoke of individual window panes reflecting light, distinct architectural styles. Some even claimed to see people moving within the ethereal structures, and then it vanished as quickly as it appeared. Fast forward to 2015, and a similar, equally baffling event unfolded over the city of Jieyang. Again, thousands reported seeing a vast, detailed phantom city, entire districts, bridges, and towering edifices suspended against the backdrop of an otherwise clear sky. These weren't fleeting glimpses, these were prolonged observations, collectively experienced and widely documented. The common explanation of a Fata Morgana feels increasingly inadequate here. A mirage typically projects an image of something nearby within a reasonable range. For an entire, highly detailed urban landscape to be projected with such clarity over such a prolonged period and in such a distinct manner defies the typical parameters of thermal inversion. What distant objects precisely were being projected, and why did they appear so incredibly sharp without the usual distortions associated with severe atmospheric refraction? The eyewitness accounts from both Shenzhen and Jieyang consistently highlight the sheer realism and impossible detail that seems to transcend any known meteorological phenomenon. It raises the chilling possibility that these weren't reflections of known earthly structures at all. Could they be visions of something more, of other dimensions leaking into ours, or perhaps a glimpse into the future itself? The questions pile up, each one more unsettling than the last. But the most compelling and perhaps most terrifying incident occurred just a few days after the Jieyang sighting in the city of Hangzhou, China. This was no fleeting vision. For several minutes, hundreds, if not thousands of people again witnessed an impossibly intricate city appearing above them. This time, the reports were even more vivid, more consistent, and utterly resistant to conventional explanations. Witnesses described ancient Chinese architecture, grand temples, towering pagodas, and lush hanging gardens. It was a city that seemed to blend traditional aesthetics with an almost fantastical, otherworldly scale. People filmed it on their phones, captured it on various devices, and the footage, while often shaky, shows something undeniably structured and artificial hanging silently in the sky. What makes the Hangzhou event particularly chilling is the sheer number of independent witnesses, all describing essentially the same vision with such profound detail. Meteorologists struggled, offering explanations that felt increasingly desperate and stretched. They suggested it might be a reflection of a distant mountain range, or perhaps even an extreme projection of a city hundreds of kilometers away. But the architectural style described by witnesses did not match any known city in the region. Furthermore, the conditions for such an extreme mirage were not definitively present, nor would they typically allow for such sharp, undistorted imagery. Some speculated about a collective hallucination, a psychological phenomenon that feels incredibly arrogant to suggest when faced with thousands of independent accounts. Others, particularly online, began to whisper about portals, about parallel universes, about advanced, perhaps benevolent, or even sinister, intelligences displaying their worlds to us. For a moment, the veil between our reality and something else seemed to lift, allowing us a glimpse into a realm that should not exist. Imagine the terror, the awe, of witnessing an entire civilization effortlessly floating above your head, a silent observer watching from an impossible vantage point, or perhaps an ancient prophecy manifesting before your very eyes. The implications are staggering, forcing us to confront the limits of our scientific understanding and the unsettling vastness of what might truly be out there. To this day, the truth behind these floating cities remains elusive. While scientific explanations, primarily the Fata Morgana effect, attempt to provide a rational basis for these sightings, the sheer vividness, consistency, and unprecedented detail reported by thousands of witnesses in events like Shenzhen, Jiyang, and Hangzhou continue to challenge our understanding. Are these merely optical illusions pushed to their most extreme limits, revealing the astonishing complexity of our atmosphere? Or are they something far more profound? Glimpses through a tear in the fabric of space-time, echoes of a forgotten past, or visions of a possible future? Perhaps, as some theorists suggest, these are projections from an unknown source, deliberately shown to us for reasons we cannot yet comprehend. What if these aren't just cities, but a message, a warning, or simply a silent testament to the fact that our reality is far more porous and mysterious than we dare to imagine? Every time we look up at the sky, we may be looking not just at clouds and empty space, but at a hidden world, shimmering just beyond our grasp. The next time you gaze heavenward, remember the floating cities and ask yourself, what else is lurking just out of sight in the impossible blue above?